The hardware store clerk was restocking shelves when an elderly man came in asking for help building a wheelchair ramp. He had sketches on notebook paper showing measurements and angles. Said his daughter was coming home from the hospital in a week after a car accident left her paralyzed from the waist down. He needed to make his house accessible, but had no construction experience, and his budget was exactly $200. The clerk, a guy named James in his 30s, who had done carpentry before working retail, looked at the sketches and knew immediately that $200 would not even cover half the materials needed for a safe ramp that met code requirements. He started adding up lumber costs while the elderly man waited hopefully. The total came to almost $600, and that was without factoring in the specialized brackets and non-slip surface material. James told him the price and watched the man's face fall. He said he understood, that he would figure something out, maybe build it in sections over a few months as he saved money. James asked when exactly his daughter was being discharged, and the man said next Friday, 1 week away. James knew that building in sections was not realistic, and waiting months meant this man's daughter would be trapped inside, her childhood home unable to leave. James made a decision that violated store policy. He told the man he could get the materials for $200 if he was willing to pick up slightly damaged lumber from the back that the store usually scrapped. None of it was actually damaged. James was lying, but it gave him cover to discount everything heavily without his manager questioning it. The man agreed immediately, and James loaded his truck with everything needed. But James did not stop there. That Saturday, he showed up at the man's house at 6 in the morning with his tools and spent the entire day building the ramp himself. The elderly man tried to help, but James could see he did not have the strength or knowledge to do it safely, so he just had him hold boards steady and hand over tools. By 8 that night, the ramp was finished, met all code requirements, and had a solid handrail the man had not even thought to include in his original sketches. The man tried to pay James for his labor, but James refused, said he had built decks and porches on weekends for years, and this was good practice. The following Friday, the daughter came home, and James happened to drive past the house on his way to work. He saw her wheeling herself down the ramp for the first time, the elderly man standing on the porch crying and waving. 2 weeks later, James got called into his manager's office and thought he was getting fired for the discount he had given. Instead, his manager said a customer had written a letter to corporate about an employee who had gone far beyond normal service. The letter was from the daughter, who had learned what James had done and wanted the company to know they employed someone exceptional. James got a commendation and a raise, but the part that stuck with James was not the recognition. It was running into the daughter 6 months later at a grocery store. She told him she had been suicidal in the hospital, could not imagine living in a wheelchair, and being a burden to her elderly father. Coming home to a house that was accessible, that had clearly been modified with thought and care, had made her feel like her life could still have dignity and independence. That ramp had literally kept her alive through the darkest months of her recovery. James still works at the hardware store, and he still helps customers design accessibility projects. But now when someone comes in with a budget that will not cover what they need, he finds a way to make it work. He keeps the daughter's letter to corporate in his wallet, because he learned that sometimes a $200 ramp is not about wooden screws. It is about telling someone their life is worth modifying the world for. Comment ramp if access is dignity.